나디 먼저 저게 한 규 동화세 시제 지사다 돈달라 저기 거의 대화되게 하는 유니고요 말에서 한 주제 통동을 제한직 동화 대화지 거의 대화 용어 체외 제라 야주 동화지 내용 거래서 지산 땡기 대화세지 자기가 말에서 지사다 아주 데네지리야 베 이심제 대랑스 토야기 돈달에 비슷이 되바이나 양아술이야 아니 동화 차상을 줘 두고 말해서 땡기 대화 두고 말해서 데네 인자 양아술이 데네기 대화데 주제 통로 데네지마도 남산디 교와 진짜 디젤이야 동화 용과시 용무도 대자 될이야 안에 지게 이 문제야 민두세 델레 다야가 땡기 대화디 맞아 톱구도 시사 타르바세 톱구도 셈베기 타르바되니게 삼아 온도스체네 되니게 듬바게 오래세지 디시쇼에 맞아 디고시로다.
Good afternoon. This morning we concluded looking at the suffering of transient pleasure. And suffering of transient pleasure is what we refer to in the world as happiness. So it's worldly happiness. It's the feeling of happiness. And we spoke about what this means, what is meant by worldly happiness. And that whilst it can be called happiness, it is not the happiness that we desire, which is lasting, stable happiness. This happiness is transient. It always ends. It swiftly ends and then is followed by further course suffering. So we need to reflect on this so as not to be deceived by it and not be satisfied with the attainment of mere worldly happiness. We need to understand with great clarity that all worldly happiness is mere brief interludes in this ongoing stream of suffering of being bound within samsara. And having reflected on this well, one will give rise to a wish to achieve lasting happiness, liberation from suffering. And with such a desire for lasting happiness, when it's been generated within oneself in a profound manner, then one will strive to achieve liberation. Now we continue with the third of the three types of suffering, that of all-pervasive suffering.
Dujigi dunga samzana jewi lela simbame mimaya dude nyuya duk norchu yang dude to yang duk mise thamje dabla says.
So on the translation, I tend to use all-pervasive suffering. The full name is all-pervasive suffering of conditioning. Hence we see the translators chosen suffering of conditioning. So suffering of conditioning, all-pervasive suffering of conditioning, suffering, all-pervasive suffering, just different translations. Verse 20, if you reflect on the suffering of conditioning, karmic deeds are endless. You suffer with too much, you suffer with too little. You suffer if rich, you suffer if starved. We waste our entire lives in preparations.
Na di na de nga zu dunga se di zu ke ha go ya de nga zu le la wa che so da di le de ska le kha di gyu dunga se de ka le kha ha go ya la ma zu ke da di na ne ya cha wa du ju dunga se de nga zu ha go ya de ka le kha shu di sum yin na ne ka le kha shu de da cha wa du ju dunga de nga zu dunga yin ba de sam dang ba tu ya de ka le kha shu ra cha go re.
The way to come to understand the sufferings of samsara is to reflect on sufferings according to varying divisions, and we're looking at this threefold division. Then these three divisions are presented in an order that goes from the easiest to understand to the most difficult. So the suffering of mental and physical pain, this is very easy to understand. With some reflection, we can also understand the suffering of a transient pleasure. Now this third type of suffering, the all-pervasive suffering, this is by far the most difficult to actually come to understand or actually come to realize.
samza na se de da duji gi dunga se de sam ta wa na se wa da zo che sa da sam ta de da duji dunga Kanistam Tangor Duji Dunga said the Kanichi Laguri Lama, Dondala Tangbo, the Duji Dunga said the Denichi Lagris and Wessoyadi, Yechimuchagoro.
So as it's something that is difficult to understand and to come to know, to come to realize, then we need to start out with a presentation of what is meant by all-pervasive suffering.
Duji Dunga said, Kanichi Lagurasene, Leda Nyombo Ongi, Kowati Olympic, Ludela, and Ludela, Duji Dunga Lagore. Leda Nyombo Ongi, Cover Peneta. Kamsum Gado Kiwa Lemba Inaya, and the Nikiwa Lutela, and the Dujikitungal.
The body, the physical body that is achieved anywhere within samsara, this has been achieved through the power of contaminated karma and afflictions. This body is an illustration of all-pervasive suffering.
Yes,
So our physical body, this is an illustration of all-pervasive suffering.
Dushi Tungas. The Pumbo Lavion de Dinalia, Pumbo and the Suki Pumbo, Soy Pumbo, Dushi, number she Pumbo, Pumbo Aligore, Chisal, Desileta, Nyomo, Ongi Jui, Pumbo Adiungore, Dingaka, and Dushi Pumbo, Dushi Tungalagore.
And it doesn't refer only to the physical body, but to the collection of aggregates, so to all 5 aggregates. So this physical body we have, these aggregates, these 5 aggregates that we have as human beings, these have been attained due to the power of ripening karma that was accumulated by our afflicted minds. And therefore, our physical and mental aggregates, or the 5 aggregates, are an illustration of all-pervasive suffering. And this is the case for all samsaric beings, beings in the hell realms, in the spirit realm, in the animal realm. All of them, their physical and mental aggregates were attained in dependence on contaminated karma accumulated by their afflictions, and therefore their aggregates, their physical and mental aggregates, are illustrations of all-pervasive suffering. And this is also the case of, for example, desire realm gods who took uncontrolled rebirth in samsara. Their aggregates too have come about in dependence on contaminated karma and afflictions, and therefore are illustrations of all-pervasive suffering.
Isn't it so? That the Nigleda Numa Donala Carla Gorsone Dunga Duji Dunga said, Kava Duji Dunga said, Leda Numa Ungu Jundi Bigi, Pumbo della, Sachi Pumbo della, and Ganzo and the Kava Duji Dunga Sigore.
These aggregates, the aggregates of all samsaric beings, the physical and mental aggregates of samsaric beings, have been accumulated by, have been attained due to the afflicted minds resulting in contaminated karma, and that ripens into these aggregates, and therefore these aggregates that all samsaric beings have attained are contaminated aggregates, can be called contaminated aggregates. And so this is the situation that pervades the entire, all 3 realms of samsara. So all samsaric beings, their aggregates are contaminated due to having been attained due to actions performed under the influence of the afflictions. So this is why it's called all-pervasive suffering, because this 3rd type of suffering pervades all beings within all 3 realms of samsara, the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm.
Zu Pumbo Tiki Dungare Lagamarwa, Chisa Dungar Lagomare, Mazu Chidi Yondala, Chiki Dunga Sidu, 동아이 동아 장한 심보라 동아 세다 지디 동아 레스고라 지자 동아이 동아디 소와 동아로 깨나 나기 요래 지키 강아 요래세 동아이 갈래도 살아고라 다는 지디 요라라 맞아 대시 규에 동아 세다 사치기 대화되게 세상 대화에만 동아래라고 말아 사치기 대화도 엉아 기우 동아 디우도 쓰고라 아 기우도라고 대화도 도라고 말 갈래가 동아 용도라고 말아 이네 지디 요라라 맞아 사 규에 동아 될라 대화스 당한 저기 수기 공부되라 ane leda nyumo pumbotela je dewa da dunga kaya la go marwada chesa dini enza jidi yongda la ma suki pumbo de kela dunga la go mare ine da ngam ju da tarba doni tarba toba do taba don nyene dingi dewa toba de ba ina andele ngat suki pumbotela ma ju chaba dushi dunga se minta gore minta dunga minta gore
tiru tamagana
chaba dushi dunga
tiru
저기 수기 풍부하다 레다 뉴모지 풍부했더라 한 차와 두지 동아스미다고 지다 용라라 동아고 말하더라.
So then in brief, what is meant by all-pervasive suffering is the physical and mental aggregates of that some samsaric beings have. These aggregates are illustrations of all-pervasive suffering. So these three types of suffering then, amongst these three types of suffering, ordinary beings in the world, so people we know outside, they will only recognize the first type, the suffering of physical and mental pain. Everyone will agree that is suffering. When you have mental anguish or physical pain, this clearly is suffering. Everyone will agree to that. But in the world, happiness, contaminated happiness, this is seen as happiness and only as happiness. Whereas we've come to see in the previous presentations that happiness is actually transient in nature. It's not stable, it's not lasting, and it's immediately followed by further suffering. And therefore it's suitable to be called a suffering of transient pleasure. So that is not accepted in the world, that is not even thought about in the world. That happiness is seen as desirable in the sense of something worthy of striving for, something worthy to spend one's life striving for. And then, so the second type of happiness isn't accepted in the world. And certainly now, this third type, the all-pervasive suffering, this isn't accepted in the world. If it said your physical aggregates and your mental aggregates, these are in the nature of suffering, people wouldn't accept that. But so therefore, of these three types, it's only the first type that is accepted in the world.
차와 두시기 동화세데 민다 따고 김제 가래람나 될 동화세데 김제 가래라 당하면 지금 공부데 아니 지교화 전에 나 약보 여바 당보 지 탕보려나 강삼질이야 유르신델이야 남사 아니 교화 신제 될야 내나슬이야 아니 동화래야 당아들에 돈다라 나 지금 공부 뒤 가지고 그래서는 동화다 규율 동안 니가게 된지고래. 제가 마음을 공부 될라 때네 마음을 규율 동안리고래. 동아이 동안리고래. 제가 네 공부도 매나 레다 녀모 중 공부도 매나 아니 규율 동안 세지 말에 아니 차바 그 동아이 동안 세요 말에 지래. 제가 콜리아 가르스는 코로나 공부 코로나야 안데 지게 아주 세당 중앙 망고 지려 된 거야 직제 되네 남사 유어 조조조 내 나서 남사는 교회 동아래야다 야 동아이 동아래야 되는게 동아다 녀모바 대화다 동아 가서래 동아 탐제 중요하게 된시지 거래 된지 거래 대인자 아니 교회 동아래서.
So continuing the etymology of the... So continuing the etymology of all-pervasive suffering, so I've explained why it's called all-pervasive, because it pervades the three realms. So any being bound within the three realms experiences this third type of suffering. So why then is it called suffering? Why merely possessing these physical and mental aggregates is this said to be suffering? And that is because, in brief, as long as one has these contaminated aggregates, one has the basis upon which one experiences suffering. One has the basis upon which one experiences the suffering of suffering, as well as the suffering of change. So both other types of suffering are only experienced independence on having these contaminated aggregates. So, for example, the form aggregate. So this appears to be stable, but we know from lots of experience it changes, and it's easily influenced by causes. And on the independence on having this basis, we experience at the least discomfort, but we also experience pain and illness. And this is because this physical aggregate, the form aggregate, is in itself in the nature of suffering, similarly to the mental aggregates. And thereby we experience independence on our physical and mental aggregates, both types of suffering, the suffering of physical and mental pain, as well as the suffering of transient pleasure. So because the physical and mental aggregates are the basis for the other types of suffering, they are, this all-pervasive suffering is called suffering.
Leda nyoma wangi juye pumbo di nene chawa duji dunga res chesan tela dunga da juye dunga chasan yaya ge shitin di tela den ligo res chedu ane tela ya lu tela ningbu ha yo ma res ora chesan deux martin na ne na so yong chosho da kanga che chosho res chesan da ane ningbu ye ne gar yo res ne di membu lu tingi dewa dunga da ge 시딘 균에 마신 근데 안에 게디나 안에 지게 꿰매되는 풍부 루기 풍부 주야요레스 지산디 자주메제고 탈 자주셈바 자주셈에 파비고 바토바다 안에 지게 자주말 하면냐 탈바 톰네 하면에 냐데 고방 토여도 안에 내기 루딘디 몰람다 개와 바실에 되는 죽지거래 지산 개와 바실에 되는 주바자 내기 루딜에 되네 안에 내나서 중요하다 자기는 연구 말해. 지난 돈달라 가르송으로선 난주 류딜베 착신제네 델리아 착바게 착신제네 지금 삼당교 말해서 지난 델리아도 류딜이야 견로직 가르가르 견가르도 삼당에도 류딜라 되네 아니 지금 남상 바직 충전이야 철철서 견 견고 차줘야다 델라 되네 내나서 망보는데 강아 망보지 지난 류딜라 되네 연구도 선제 되니기 견 삼당에도 류델이야 아니 지금 보면도 선배 삼리기레스 다 님보면 선배다 델레 야가 님보도 가려서 tarbi gobang toya dang, ane pabiki, janshu simpiki, pabiki gobang toya du, lu, da lu li yuwa jike, kaosu nyingba chaya mede, kedi na, ane jike, deli ya, ane dunga yaya ki ten, macheba, ane gyuni, dunga kiya ki ten, gyuni machebi ki lu ki pung tuya yores, chesan deni lu de tobar che kukure, ese warda naranga zor.
Deni juya yore, di sak me ki pumpo. De sakme ki pumpo de
da sakme pumpo la go ro da tinga ju
deni di pakpa chansuk sempa konsul di topsong dang tekmen drachompa
lame nya de ba lame taijin da dangbo toba de mare ma shi ne ya ja dangbo drachompa tobu ro deni shi ne ya ge ge wa de pumpo de lame nya de ko taijin drachompa de ye de da sakme ki lu si ro da la sakme ki lu si
de zik yakya sunguran de nere inji zik chik jan bengere.
Lame nyade tobyondu.
Okay, inji ke drainson. Sorry, I just need to rewind. I forgot where we started. So these aggregates we have, and again, the aggregates refer to, the one is our physical body, the others are a way of referring to our minds, so the physical and mental aggregates. These have been achieved independent on the contaminated karma that we accumulated under the influence of the afflicted minds. And so having, as a result of the ripening of contaminated karma, we have these physical and mental aggregates. On this basis of physical and mental aggregates, we experience both of the previous types of suffering, suffering of physical and mental pain and suffering of transient pleasure. So all suffering is experienced in dependence on having these contaminated aggregates. So this is important to understand because we need to see that these aggregates have no essence. They have no essence. This attachment that we have for our aggregates is misplaced because they have no essence. We need to challenge this attachment that we have for our aggregates, so as to turn our attention to what is better than this, what is worthy of striving to achieve, if not these contaminated aggregates. And that would be uncontaminated aggregates. Uncontaminated aggregates have not been achieved through the ripening of contaminated karma accumulated due to afflictions. So we need to reflect on the faults of these contaminated aggregates, so to see they have no essence, and then turn our attention to what is worthy of striving to achieve, and that is uncontaminated aggregates. And which beings have achieved uncontaminated aggregates? Aggregates that are therefore not a basis for suffering, that do not experience the suffering of physical mental pain or the suffering of transient pleasure. These are either Arya Bodhisattvas. They have achieved uncontaminated aggregates that have been achieved in dependence on pure prayer, as well as foe destroyers who have attained the state of nirvana without remainder. Nirvana without remainder. They, as foe destroyers or arhats, who have attained a state of nirvana without remainder, they also have uncontaminated aggregates. So those beings, they are beings who do not have the basis for suffering. So it's to understand that these contaminated aggregates have no essence, that we need to, and thereby give rise to the wish to achieve uncontaminated physical and mental aggregates, that we need to engage in this reflection.
디 콘주기 류디게 대화전기다 미라하요레 디수기 류디게 차상 아니 캬와지 동안 말해서 동안 류텔라 때네 대화마도 동하게 하기도요 말해서.
With this understanding, many practitioners give rise to the aspiration to achieve birth in Tushita and accumulate virtue to be born in the Tushita land, because being born there is a being that has pure aggregates, or uncontaminated aggregates, and therefore they don't experience any suffering at all, none of the three types, not even all-pervasive suffering.
수름소야 되래 짐바 수름소 얘는 짐바 냠내 세바 준비 냠내 쳐야 되래 냠내 나가라래 내가 나한테 가도 대화전이야 몰람자 되래 다제 개와 짐바 대화전에 개와 쇼스네 대야 대화전 몰람자 되네 대화전이 아니 지게 신당 한데네게 공잡 되네시네 아니 가지고 개와 사야지 짐바 다 수름소 세바 공수리 제가 되네게 개와 같이 또체 제제 몰람 숙체 뭐 개와 잡투가 있나 개와 제만 대화전에 기회가 규로 차고 제가 개와 전에 기회리다 가서 몰람다 개와사 개와다 몰람이 온게 개와를 말마도 레다 녀모 온게 대화전에 기회요 말해지래 제가 되네자 대화전이 기회가 류리게 몰람나 개와를 되네 주와 개와엔자 안델이야 안에 류델이야 안에 되네 동아이야 다 되네 요 말해서
Den kunde de Gud drukker det på. Dan monlam. Monlam dan.
Gud drukker nadam. Jimbo Tsujun Sebo Zunja Samden Sachi Zunju Tibardo Chagarwa, Dedigan Molam Jadi,
something okay. To achieve rebirth, as the beings that have the possibility to be reborn in Tushita, the Pure Land of Tushita will be desire realm beings such as humans or desire realm gods. And the cause to be born in Tushita is an extensive accumulation of merit, accumulated through developing the practices of ethics, generosity, patience, and joyous perseverance, combined with prayer to be born in Tushita. This is the way that beings can be born in Tushita. It doesn't happen without extensive accumulation of virtue as well as specific prayer.
Dini Zadang and Chawa Duchi Dunga Sadi and Deshi Leda Numo Omichu Pumbo Tela, Manziming Chawa Duchi Dunga Leportanala.
So then again, what is meant by the all-pervasive suffering, it is the physical and mental aggregates that have been attained in dependence on contaminated karma that was accumulated by the afflicted minds.
Dunga chunju chila chas dunga la chasan tar gugu ores chasan tar ne de tingi dewa de gidi na dewa ne dewa de gugu ores chasan dene go enzang nga zuge jigle da nyumbo ongel hada mile ya kewa ina dene pumpo di ina chasan del ya tingi dewa yo mares yo tu mares chasan del ya dene dunga mongbo li gres chasan dene enzang del ya tar jine nga zo pumpo ane gyune tingi ludin di dewa ne dewa yo Ludin Ding Hansul Rapo Saja. Chesa Denig Ludin de Da Hansuki, Leda Nomo Ludin Niboti, Yadu di Yagare, di Dugare, di Yagare, Delacun de Nit in the Yor, Delacun Omar said, Genda Yendigi, Cabaji, Chin Shi or Danzo. She had to Dakar Dini, she had to Nazuka some Grisena, Chalaina, di Yaga or di and Duares. And it's Genda Yendigi, Cabarchin, she had to. And also Galasam Jalina, or the Yaga, some Duga some Marwa, Chesna di Garagure, the Yaga di Dugare, Koran Garagure, or the Yaga go in Lagua, and Dinashin Danzulia, Ludingi, Tella Young, and then Gun did it in a young you can Ludin did it. Gun Gunia, my younger Ganga Gunia Martin Ludin did it, Chesna Ludin in the Yores, Chesna Koran Garagures, Chesna Ludin Yaga the Kuguyena, di Toba de Daddy Ludin Telepe. Delia Chakin Jay, some no Shanda Guinea and Dicanya, some not Jay Mares, Mevanzam, and Dini Yaga Toyaki, Tashi Pesuchi Gores, Dondala Disho, Ludin de la Yadu Niores, Chesna Yaga de Kunek, Yaga Toyaki, Daniel Dobachi Gores, Chesna did do at the Yadu Kaba Chicota.
So why do we need to know this? Well, we need to. First, at the starting point is to come to recognize that what we truly desire is happiness, and a happiness that is freed from any form of suffering or pain or misery. And then further through these reflections that we've been looking at, we come to recognize that the happiness that we have experienced, this is really very weak, it's transitory, it doesn't last for long, and the strength of this happiness is weak. Furthermore, through our reflections, we see that we have the potential to achieve something far beyond what we have experience of. To achieve this, we need a basis such as we have, this rebirth such as this, but to have as our main objective merely to achieve another good rebirth or to have good circumstances within a rebirth, if that is our objective, we will never fulfill our desire for lasting, stable happiness. Rather, we need to utilize this birth that we have in the most meaningful of ways and strive for and progress towards liberation. So to give rise to that thought takes an extensive amount of analysis, coming to understand what our situation is and what is possible. So this process is, whilst the subject matter is perhaps new and certainly unknown to most people in the world, the process is not that original. If we're thinking of buying a new possession, we'll look at what we have, we'll look at what's now available, we'll see the faults of what we have, we see the desirability, the benefits of what is now available, and in this way, we'll give rise to a strong wish to achieve the newer version, and we'll want to discard the older version. And then we'll think about, so how can I go about achieving this newer version? What are the causes that I need to accumulate to achieve the newer version? So this is this process that we apply in our everyday life in terms of shopping and buying something new. We need to apply that same process here. Come to recognize with wisdom what we have achieved and what its situation is in reality. And then see what is possible. See what is possible through living a meaningful life. And then think about how to create those causes. So this is the purpose of why we're looking at these three types of suffering, in particular now, in this context, the suffering of all-pervasive conditioning.
Chizan Javi Lela Simba me Sidu. To Leda Numo Ungi Kewa Lenchi Pumbo de la, Tanga Mimisico, Liachi DJ or Dulo, Digo, Kala, Digo, Dingamon, what DJ to say, Dinejan, Cheje, Tsaragune Malaysia. That even nearly the one of what they think Manzukini, Jia Oshad, Chishijanya, the Chichi Lagara Massage and Dugo, what Chizan Javi Simba Mason, Korigi Lagat, Pumbo Dike or Lense Bejela Delia, and Kun Matache, Delia Be Shencha, Duation, Laga Leban, Laga Ladies, Chixhagino Maras.
We've heard then that the illustration of all-pervasive suffering are our own physical and mental aggregates. And we've heard that they are called all-pervasive suffering because it's due to having this basis that we experience the suffering of physical mental pain and the suffering of transient pleasure. Now this is explained further on in the verse with the second line. Karmic deeds are endless. So this is something that we can understand. So an alternative way to explain this would be activities are endless, or alternative way to translate this. Activities are endless. And this is something that we all have experience of if we reflect on our lives thus far. How much of our mental energy has been spent on desiring new, desiring more. And when we achieve that, not for more than a few moments being satisfied with that, before our mind goes off in a new direction, either for an upgrade or for something else that we now desire. Our mind is constantly drawn to wanting more and better. And this, so not only then is our mental energy consumed by this constant insatiability, but so too then do the resulting activities to achieve that. Because we know just not through mere wishing we don't fulfill our aspirations. We then have to go to work and accumulate the various causes so that we can try and fulfill our aspirations. And this has consumed so much of our time and our energy, and it's a never-ending cycle. And this comes about in dependence on this basis that we have, these aggregates that we have.
subu tuya, kalasa. Dina Sing Azuki, Dulo Querusine, Tajik Chevichi Que, Yanjing Papa Chevia, Ya Chevia, Ya Chevia, Mashi Badu, Dulo di Chevia Masa de Okurwa, Chesa, Denegi, Benet, Dijim. Dine in Zadam Garcia Horasana, Mashi Badu, Dulo, Guenaki, Rayaki, Dondala, Lega Manguche, Tayoma. That didn't part Dulo, Dondala, Lega, Sebiki, some Shakunimere. The dinner and to Kala, Rayaki, Dondala, Lega Manguche, or that, Chisna, didn't Kalagi, Dondala, Lega, Mess, some Shaggy said, Mashi Bad, some Zamsha made. Chisna, Mashi Badu, Gary Lega Ligorasana, Kala said, and was Lusukup Chegi, Dijan, Pache Diruchin, Dijanja, Didunga, Casore. Kalasa, Dulo, Yoya, and the Lulia, and Juba Pichitaya, then the Lutiki, and the Lucia, Champion Droid, Dijanja, Rajanazuki, Mangi, Tico Hora, Songa, and I did not decide Dunda Dire. Then Kumaja and Karashevna, she said, Dineza, 2-7, Lega de Deniki Chavi, the Zoya, Malaysia, Mashibado. It's not the Niki joined the Pumpo de letting out to Lulet and Yumo, Pumpo de Kiwa Len Chinchilla, the Nichia, Lega Zoyama, Jenny Gun, the Nihores or that.
What's pointed out in this line, activities are endless, is something that without much reflection we can see is true in terms of our own experience and what we observe in the world. But again, it's important to reflect on this. Because we know, for example, in terms of endless activities, we all have to wash today, otherwise we sit in front of others and we're a bit smelly. And if we had to wash yesterday, others would have come and we would have been a bit smelly. And if we don't wash tomorrow, the same problem. Every single day we have to repeat this process of cleaning this body. And this isn't something that we've just had to do now in midlife and old age. This happened from the day we were born. Our parents washed us every single day, and then eventually we took over this responsibility, and every day we've had to do this. And likewise with eating. Think of how much of this life has been consumed, not just with eating, not even just with the cooking of the food, not even the work so as to engage, to have the money to buy the food, but all the mental activity of, oh, I'd like to eat this, how can I make that? Or I desire these things, or I don't want to eat that again. All this physical and mental activity just to eat. Each and every day, several times. And when we think like this, we start to appreciate this exhausting cycle that we're trapped within. This huge consumption of physical and mental energy of one activity after another that just wears us out and consumes our time, consumes our energy. And this is because we have this basis of contaminated physical aggregates and mental aggregates, that we think in this way and that we have these physical needs. And this will continue for as long as we have these contaminated aggregates. And moreover, when we think in more detail, when we think about the activities we engage in, the work we engage in to earn a living, doing that, our mind is not always pure and virtuous. Jealousy arises, deceit arises, anger arises, and in this way we accumulate non-virtue whilst trying to earn a living. We accumulate the causes for further suffering whilst just trying to sustain this life. We need to reflect on this, coming to have an appreciation for this exhausting cycle that we've remained bound in for so long. It should give rise to the wish to be freed of this situation.
Then the Sayadong Madame Ganga, then in your Rambo pass or Tuboy, Mambo Chit in the down between the Tuboy, Ganga, Ligger, Mada, Ganga Yorwada, Jihapchil sometime in the Jondechil sometime in the Dirwa. That they may be that's when Mikiel Sosa sometime, Sosoria, Chike, washing Barachik, Mango Sosiane, Yansis Chike, Mimamboyana. Then said, Tawa Tuna Martin, then Jiggy said, Jiggy Maria said, the Nekanga, just not in Manguena Ganga. Then Yuna Ganga, Yuna took it. That you have to tell me, you might have made a Hanganga Mango or the Minun Charge, and Laka Mara, and the Sayatoyata, the naked Paso, and Ganga the Hora, and this was Gersos time in that mean. Nyumba in it, so Mevene, so that Geshe Mevada, and so Robot Chicken Mevada, the Nina, Sukanga Yungura, Chesa, Montana Gangura, Yuntana Gangura, Chesa, the Nigi, Mazuda, Namamudu, Atisha said, that I'm at Numa the Minu, Tisha, and Big Ganga says, your market, Yuntana Gangasli, Montana Gangasli,
you suffer with too much and you suffer with too little. So this can be understood in a multitude of ways. So one would be that if we, in a very busy place, for example, in a city we're surrounded by a lot of hustle and bustle and noise, then with no peace and silence, we long for that, we get frustrated. Or now in the times of climate change, where there are a lot of people, a lot of resources are required, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's water, a lot of resources are required to help to sustain a large concentration of people. So surrounded by many people, problems come. And if one longs for solitude and one goes to somewhere where one is alone, it's not that one's problems then disappear. One gets lonely. One doesn't have help from others to sustain oneself. One has no friendships, no assistance. So then even when one's alone, problems are experienced.
Guchimo Benjo Chimbo Yovena, Yan Delia Papa Chichi Cashimbo, then Chichi the Maduba Gamas, Yanji Benjo Delia Chimbo Land, Delia Pachi, Layagi, Damil Shoya, Denigi, Ganga, Delia, Benjo in the Dramambo, the Maga, Yoram, what is a Ganga Yungris. That Meva Inaya Ganga Yores, that Joe Benjo Mevene Ganga Yores, Person the Sayatoya Ganga, then the Paso Susuke and Tayaga Ganga, then the Doja to see the Nigga Doja, Kalasaya Maravana, the Nigga Ganga Yores, Ganga Mevadana, Yuchimbo and Danga Ganga Yomardanga, given said, Yunga Marcasan Delia, Gaze, Chimbunas, the same time Res Ganga Mambuligres.
You suffer if rich, you suffer if starved. So wealthy people have a great burden due to their wealth. For wealthy people, their wealth consumes a lot of mental energy. How to utilize, how to invest this wealth in a way that will ensure they don't lose it, that it grows, that they can keep their status and their place in society. They also struggle in terms of trust. Who around them can they consider to be genuine friends? Who around them are actually deceitful people who are more concerned with what they can get from the wealthy person rather than being a true friend? So even having wealth comes along with a number of problems. And of course, someone who is impoverished struggles to sustain their life, struggles to sustain those for whom they are responsible. So whether wealthy or poor, one continues to suffer.
Some Benjo Chimbo Shuine, Corns of Benjo, you can now gender young brother, the court organized Chia, the gender, to the Jansim to the gender. Danji Benjo Chimbo Yovan, Delia does mother, new child, and asked him to order massive deep jewels and big center. So that the names are Benjo Chimbo, and the part and the Benjo Chimbo Bechic, and Jajibu Shu, the Kimdo Hora, Tungor, the in Duanlia, Gama, Ochi Lady, Chick me, Jochida. Meet Benjo Chimbu Shu, and in some down and Benjo Delaya, some Ganga Yor Dangachile. chesimong tingor delea and gender mongoli chesimong tingor and then ma nyamcha tigre sembe semje shuorwa the bango joro chine shandanyum de benjo gender che samlo yomare and ko nge benjo de zorugu ma nyamcha che semje yomarwa.
Whilst many people in the world may look to the wealthy with longing, look to all their possessions and their security with longing, what remains hidden from this display, behind this veneer of contrived happiness, is that amongst wealthy people, happiness and peace of mind is not to be found. There's strong grasping for this place in society to be maintained, worry for the loss of even some of their wealth, and therefore their place in the ranking amongst the wealthy to be lost, and thereby also having a strong sense of competitiveness towards other wealthy people, as well as a sense of arrogance, looking down on those who are not as wealthy as they are. So this is again important to be aware of, because these worldly pleasures from the outside look deceptive. But for those who have them, they don't have a feeling of having found lasting, stable happiness, because they have no experience of that. And in fact, in many ways, those who are wealthy suffer even more on a mental level than those who just have enough to get by. Coming to the 21st verse, we waste our entire lives in preparations. So this is about how our mental energy and our resulting physical energy is consumed by desire and plans to fulfill this desire. I want this, I need that, and this consumes our mind. First what we want, then how to achieve that, and then thirdly, the activities to fulfill it. We waste our entire lives in preparations. And to emphasize how this consumes our lives, we have the next line: while in preparation, we all die. So these preparations continue throughout our life, and thinking that death remains in the distant future, when it unexpectedly comes, it doesn't wait just because our plans are yet to be fulfilled. Death comes despite this ongoing planning. And even in death, there's no time for the preparations. So this again is to emphasize how we continue to spend our life planning and to achieve our desires. And as our desires are never satiated, we constantly want more and spend all our energy right up to the time of death. And even at the time of death, we are still planning, and our desires remain unfulfilled.
Shiro chidu kewa chimage sawa jile lo gozu go wada chesa da kewa chimage chimale kewa lenje kawa kewa ya denegi chege le chikche go de go sembe de dele ya gozu go de sere chime tapyo ko la chu
denek also kewa shempa kien ne dratik sekire
da de shiro chidu da shiro chidu kewa chimale lo gozu go gozu go za da kewa chimale len de chikche go se de gozu go de je se chime tapyo ko la chu.
And this constant planning extends even into our next life. When we when we have an understanding that death is approaching, then we start to frantically prepare for our future lives. But again, we're putting all this energy into our preparations.
지난 코를 내다 녀모 온게 준비 풍부 코와 될야 신체 바 내가지 제나 제차야 메디게 즉 좋아야 매바지했다.
And the 22nd verse spits on those who continue to cling to the mass of suffering called cyclic existence. So again, just to say, the Tibetan isn't broken into verses like this. The lines are just run one after the other. So these two lines here then relate to what we've just covered. And that is that when one spends one's entire life in preparation, constantly for desiring something new and something better, this consumes all our time, all our energy. And this here is an experience this is how beings experience cyclic existence. This constant desire for better and more, and never being able to achieve that. And this needs to be turned away from and abandoned. So here we need to turn away from this state that we have found ourselves in thus far. So this is the meaning of spitting on those who continue to cling to the mass of suffering called cyclic existence. We need to see that the situation of continuous uncontrolled rebirth in samsara is because of our contaminated karma accumulated by our own afflicted minds. And as long as this process continues and we stay bound within this prison of samsara, we will continue to suffer in these ways. And we'll continue to waste the potential of our human rebirth due to being deceived by desire, due to being deceived by worldly pleasure.
Shembajana Nyangandes. Nyangandena Devatopsa. Tina Shembajana Nyangande Labdu Harson. The Hingado Denigi Kori Duma del Pa, do sometimes Genu, Tayadu, that Koa Dele, that Targo, some biggie, some Roshiligiris. Denigi Samloch Pa, Kate, Shuksha Lena, then Tarbas Tobudu, some Shukchimuli Gores. Tina Deni Shembacha, Denigi Shemba, Koala Shemba, the Jibe Koala Shen to get the Delia Koala Junjan told to do, then the Koala Shemba the Chundu Gores. Tina Chundu, Tarbas Koala Shemba the Chundu Gore, Koala Junjana Tadu, and the Koala Shemba Yakudu Sambi, that Jaladan wasn't the Yakudu some Shemban, that Jalad Junjan Tabana. The Yakudu Sambe Samlo Shun Ruguro, and Dinashi Reda, Koala Shen to get Shemba, the Korea Deva together, Yakudes and Diganya, sometimes de, and the Koala Gun Diodu, the niggas Shemba to Chun Rugures. Tazan Koala Gun Daji, Tarbas Topudos, and Dunya Samba Jeje, Tarbajin, Toveg, Tobin, Dunya, the Nit Tarba Tobana, Shemba Chazan. Koala Shimbi Shemba the Bandu, Bana, Yangan the Debares, or Yangan the Debares, Koa Banta, Bang Sarvares. Then Yangan Dena Devatops said, Kori Duma Bang Big Bangba, Bangbe Yanti Tosavana, didn't think it Devares, didn't do my job in the Yam, Devan the Devamado, Duma Namia.
Concluding this 22nd verse. When freed of this clinging, you go beyond sorrow. When gone beyond sorrow, you are in happiness. So what it doesn't come across so well in the English is the word here, the Sanskrit word that is being translated is nirvana. And nirvana in English is gone beyond sorrow. So both of these lines are a play on using the word for nirvana, but they're using the English translation here. So read it in that way. When freed of this clinging, you go beyond sorrow. When gone beyond sorrow, you are in happiness. So here, these two lines are the result of the reflection that follows from having thought in detail, repeatedly over a sustained period, of the faults of samsara, of the sufferings of samsara. Through reflecting on these three types of suffering, this leads to a wish to be freed from suffering, to be liberated from suffering. The state of liberation is the state of nirvana. to express this differently through reflecting in detail about the faults of samsara, one generates a wish to go beyond sorrow or beyond suffering. In other words, one gives a rise to go beyond sorrow, which is the attainment of nirvana or liberation. And as one engages in this reflection more and more, and one starts to have ever greater familiarity with this meditation, the result is that our craving desire for samsara, or to put it more literally, our craving desire for the delights of samsara, this weakens because when we're coming to clearly see the faults of samsara, what we had previously seen as desirable is no longer desirable. Our wisdom is developing. We are no longer being deceived by a desire for the enjoyments of samsara, the pleasures of samsara. And as this mind strengthens, this wisdom strengthens, and we start to see the delights of samsara as deceptive, as not have any value or essence worthy of being our final goal, then the approaching of liberation nears. And we start to experience greater happiness within ourselves. And when the life comes where liberation is achieved, or one goes beyond sorrow, when one achieves nirvana, having gone beyond sorrow means one will never experience sorrow or suffering again. One experiences then only stable happiness, lasting happiness, happiness that is never punctuated by even a moment of suffering.
Dene za danga zu chene dunga samta dunga se dene chile gore chesa dene desu kanga re se pe samta ya da dene gyu dunga se dene chile gore chesa dene desu ya ningbo mindu sa ya da la chawa du dunga se de le da nyomo on ju phumbo de la chawa du dunga la wa de yue cha shi la dene dunga chasa juya gyudin je de ningbo mindu samya chesa du samta dele da ta gu du samta de danga zo gar zo gorsen dele ta gu du sambe ke samta de 다대하는 풍부들이 내 차와인자 네 매바서 샤스카야 말바다 매바서는 소시로로 진짜 내 가르치고 그러려나 내다 녀모 풍부들이 가르칠 때 내다 녀모 온게 중요하래 진짜 네게 유리 매바서 고도 오세월다 네게 유리 매바다 가서 내다 녀모 바래 디나데 녀모 바데 녀모 바데 매바서 샤바이나 개와 치마랑한 저기 데니기 가서 차와주 동의 풍부들 두 랭기 말해. 진짜 내게 녀몽바데 대규디 레다 녀몽바데 빵 기도. 진짜 디니디 규단 레다 녀몽바데 빵고도 오세. 당한 저게 델레야 빵야게 삼다도 레다 녀몽 빵고도. 진짜다 레다 녀몽 인기나네 조디 녀몽바데래. 가서 레여나양 녀몽바데 메나 기도 말 빼는 거 저게 사번도지 내 계획된 주로 제배네 그 사번디에 이내 견제를 추고를 류고를 싸고를 산나라마에 조사가라 샤리는 유기 해화요 말고 계획이 뉴버 사번지할 때 그걸 긴 추당 되는 메나 유기해요 말 니나신 아주 개와 치마 나송 개다 되니게 레 안바 싸요 봐 있나요 최대량 아주 녀몽바디만 매버 소샤 있나 나소리 기두고 말해 가서 견요 말해 계획이 긴요 말해 제가 니네자 나줄이야 녀모바 매바 sö베네 녀모바 빵바이나 세델레 녀마기 개와 치망아서 계획이 레 사본 여바 있나야 개와 치망아서 기두고 말해 아니 다다 녀모바 매바 sö베네 개와 치말레 남바기 가서 나서 계획이 레 사바 사기 말해 제가 또 녀모바 매바 서 그래 해지고다
So we've looked at these three types of suffering, and all three need to be reflected on repeatedly over a sustained period. The suffering of mental and physical pain, we can understand this immediately, but we still, despite immediately understanding it, we need to reflect on it on subtler levels, seeing how we do experience the suffering at a variety of levels of suffering, giving rise to a wish to be freed of the suffering of mental and physical pain. And then secondly, we need to reflect on the suffering of transient happiness, coming to understand that worldly pleasure is not something to strive for, not something to desire, because it has no essence, it is not lasting, and moreover, it is deceptive. And then thirdly, we reflect on an all-pervasive suffering, and that as long as we have these contaminated aggregates, the result of all-pervasive suffering, an illustration of all-pervasive suffering, the first two types of suffering will ripen on us, we will experience. So we need to engage in the meditation on these three types of suffering repeatedly, in that it leads then to a natural wish arising within us to be freed of suffering. Because we already have a wish to be freed of suffering. But we need to understand what is meant by suffering, to give rise to an overwhelming wish to be freed of this. We'll come to understand then, through this reflection, that what we need is uncontaminated aggregates. Aggregates, physical mental aggregates, that are not contaminated like we have now, but uncontaminated. And this means that the causes that currently govern us, this contaminated karma that has been accumulated by the afflictions, and that therefore results, this contaminated karma that when it ripens in contaminated aggregates. This needs to be eliminated. And where we need to start is not at the end, the contaminated aggregates, these we have, so we need to utilize these well. Just ending our life will not bring about an end. We need to utilize this life skillfully. The elimination of the contaminated karma, that is also not where we start. We need to start at the beginning with the afflicted minds, because it's the afflicted minds that lead to the ripening of contaminated karma. If the afflicted minds are eradicated, our contaminated karma cannot ripen. It's just like if one has a seed and one puts it in a glass bottle. It's not likely to sprout. It needs to have nutritious soil, it needs water, and it needs warmth. Then it will ripen. It needs those conditions. So here the seed can be likened to the contaminated karma, and the conditions of soil, heat and water can be likened to the afflicted minds that ripen the seed. So it's these afflicted minds that we need to eradicate. And if we eradicate them, our contaminated karma cannot ripen. And that will mean we will no longer take uncontrolled rebirth in samsara. We will no longer attain contaminated aggregates, but rather will be freed of contaminated aggregates. So therefore, through this meditation, where we come to now, is that the understanding of our situation, to the solution, and thirdly then, that we need to spend what remains of this life living our life in the most meaningful of ways, and that is striving to abandon our afflicted minds, to eliminate our afflicted minds. Because it's these afflicted minds that lead to suffering rebirth. And when we make this commitment and we meditate further on this, we will ensure that our activities do not accumulate causes that lead to rebirth in the lower realms. And moreover, we rather accumulate the causes that will enable us to progress to the attainment of liberation from suffering, to the attainment of the state of nirvana, the state that has gone beyond sorrow.
dela nga tartuke samba chesan dele tarpe tarpase tokudus chesan denege tarpas tokoda tani nga juge semba jachewa samtawe na ta dela an tarpase rang jibu mayemba shen semja tamje rang na shin dewa depa de dunga me depa jiba chesan semjen chasan ngara na shin le da nyomo ngo khola kiwi ke semjen chasan jiba ra shasa chesan dunga yoba juwe dunga yoba chawa duji dunga yoba chasan nyingbo me ba re chesan semjen tamje dunga la chagu du se che denige samta chesan denige tawa semjen tamje dunga la chaege donda la ya ane deya dunga chaade gari ngurse denige gyudi 예다 뇽모바데 데다 뇽모바데 빵고도스 제가다 뇽모바데 나라이네 뇽모바 셴심진 차상기 디니고 코비 동아께 뇽모바데 빵고도 제가 뇽모바 셈전 탐지기 뇽모바 빠야디 니랑 톱시 제제 방주긴 선배게 니 제긴 삼제 심제 탐제래 녀모버 방제 거기서 띵기 대와 다르비 산지고 반 세대 톱구도 톱을 제긴 선배게 다른 잠니 제다 하삼을 삼다 디네자다 니 권줄레 제발에 나랑 지금 녀모버 마바는 갈래하고 대장이 나랑 심제 탐지기 돈달라 산지고 반 톱구도 세배게 디네장이 띵기 대와 산지고 반 톱구도 선배게 띵기 대와 나래 탈비고 봐다 탈바점이고 봐다 산지고 반 니요로 디나네 약쇼 산지고 봐다 다 산지고 반 토와지기 선배 군노디 코르베 동안에 탈고도 코르베 동안 심제 탐지 코르베 동안에 탈발라 니 산지고 반 토바지 산지고 반 톱네 니 심제 탐지 코르베 동안이야 기호 탈네 산지사야 고요고도 선배 군노디 니시케 당보 삼다에 가서 동아도 주에 동아 차바두지 동아 삼다 괜디게 삼다 디니게 삼다 세위치라 라젠 참마 동아들라 탈고도 세베 삼다 디네 탈바디 네지기 현이 동아데 타야데 네지기 제가 디네 현장에 상요고 봐도 봐지 인사지 근데 군노데 디네 삼다에 당보 삼다에 디리도 와서
The meditation that we've been developing over the course of this weekend is that we need to reflect on these three types of suffering individually, come to understand them in detail and see the role they play in our experience in our life. And not just in this moment, but in the past, and with the understanding that this process will continue in perpetuity until we ourselves change this. In this way we come to understand that wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we remain in our experience remains in the nature of suffering, and that our aggregates are in the nature of suffering. Our minds, our mental aggregates are in the nature of suffering because they are contaminated. And therefore, even when we are experiencing happiness, when our desires are fulfilled, suffering will always follow. When we've reflected effectively in this way, the wish for liberation from the state will arise in us ever more strongly. And then in each meditation, when we come to this point, then it's good to go now to a new section, to go further, and to remind ourselves that this understanding of our situation, this is this is a correct understanding of reality. And it doesn't only apply to me as an individual, but this applies to all other beings trapped within samsara. Every single samsaric being that is bound within this prison is in exactly the same state as me. Myself and everyone that I will meet today, and that every other being throughout the realms of samsara are the same in that none of us want to suffer, we all want to experience only happiness. We are also the same in that we all suffer due to the suffering of physical and mental pain. We are all the same in that we suffer due to being deceived by the suffering of transient happiness. And we all have the suffering of all-pervasive conditioning as well. So we all suffer in the same way. And furthermore, myself and all others are the same in that we require to develop within ourselves the same solution. We need to eliminate completely the afflicted minds. This is the only way that myself and others will achieve lasting stable happiness. So this new part of the meditation that we move on to is where we take the realization of the reality of the samsaric situation and we apply it to others, seeing that we are the same in desiring happiness and freedom from suffering. We are the same in that we suffer in the three ways. And we are the same in that the solution to suffering is shared. The afflicted minds need to be eliminated. So having seen that we are the same as all beings in these three ways, we then generate the minds of love and compassion for others, giving rise to the wish, may others, just like me who desire happiness, may they achieve happiness. May they develop the causes for happiness. And may others, just like me who want to be freed of suffering, may they attain freedom from suffering and eliminate the causes of suffering. then we generate that further, those minds of firstly love and compassion, generate them further to the point where we see that because ourselves and others are no different in these ways, and others are so much more and I am only one, their attainment of happiness is of far more importance than just my own. So therefore, if I put all my energy and effort into striving for my own individual liberation, whilst that is a noble goal, it really is insufficient, because all these beings who have shown me so much kindness will remain in suffering states. And therefore, it's my responsibility to help each and every being eliminate the causes of suffering and accumulate the causes of happiness. And in order to do so, I have to become the most skilled of guides, a being who has attained freedom from suffering and perfected all good qualities and completely eradicated every trace of fault, a Buddha. And therefore one commits to striving to become a Buddha for the sake of others. One commits to striving to becoming a perfected being so that one can guide others in how to eliminate the faults on their continuum and perfect all good qualities. So in this way, we generate the mind of bodhicitta, where one strives not for mere individual liberation, but for the great liberation that is enlightenment. So this is an addition to the meditation that we've been looking at in these 3 sessions. We start out by reflecting on suffering in our own experience and what we observe and what we know exists throughout the realms of samsara. And then we take it broader and we take it broader by making our outlook much more expansive. And we use this then to generate bodhicitta. So this is the most skillful way to perform this meditation.
Dene simja tamji sanjo ko toba chi yin sim kunwa dene gi kheche dene ha jo nyomo ba pa ya de ko zu ya de tang bo nyomo ba rapa na pa chung rapa de de sni pa ya da dene pa chawa pa ya ko rim ma san ti ro ko ra dene za nga zo le nyomo ba je le la sho de kawan de su lunga yi su myo ko ne dili ko ra ka nga chi ben chi nga ko ne chi su she ya da ji gi Lukiwane Nebachia, Shala Nebakia, Nagwane Nebakia, and Yiguane Samlonalia, and Shala Nebi Sambata, and Jikin Nesamkia, Ligoro Dinesa, that Tambocrona, Domatilia, Lunga Yusmukone, Shala Nebi Chawas, Sawakin Chigme, Sembig, the Nigger Sungi Shala Nebi Chawadi, Sawakin Chigme, Sibusuyadi, Samlo Dine, Yane, Yando Tawina, telling us to get Sutrimus Chakora, Dineza, Dinesun, Lugone, and Tangagone. Shala Nubi Samba Maledu, Gunotelia, and Shalega, Nubi Samba Ligo Mara, Deneza, and Yomo Batisu, Samta. Indeed, on a Radishalia, Lunga Yusumi, Longe, Caritone, Shalia, Pembe Jawad, Shalia, Pembe Jawad, Drugin, Pempa, Chiggin, Sibig, Shalia, Tangin Sebe, Samlotin, Taidu. Sulle Serna Sedi, Gisper, Malcudu, Malcus, Beer Serna Sedi, Shuchon to Ware, says that the nigger Serna in Body Lamazo, Samlonalia, GB, and Tangin Sibetonless, two says, Mazu Comja City, Samlo do Yana, Taji, Tenea, gave each other somebody, gave each other Dubacherta Comedro, Teneza, Dongi Sibic, Jimby Samta. The new server comes at the nigger server, so server comedo, Mazu Controkia, the new mobile, Chesangazo Controkia, and the server come server some time, Controkia, the Shuk, the new Chundu, Chesanga, the server come some time, serving your message. Azulia, Chichini Matoba, Lelo, that Chuchala, Jim Madoba, the Niggic, Lelo, the Nomobare, Chesanti Lelo, the Nig Lelo, my other Junju, Gichola chair, Bemas Yahura Kaures, the Niggic Yahu in Sempig, Soso in the Niggi, Yane Yado, Gedina, Jetune, Chicken Sempe Junju Kiata, did it. Chisnada, Yamen Chedi, Jimbada. Caso Churmsoya, Sebe, Jimmy, and Sunday, Julian Yamaja, don't want to do him. Let the nigger children was on the nigger Chick Suk Nuba Cherrodo, the nigger to Ishine to be a Yomoba, Zawan, Panhaki, Yambo, same thing is in Drupche, and the senior Drupche, and Chick senior together. The nation Drup says that the senior to the dame about Tonio Dame because some dame Tonio Tone, the net. 동반이를 미비게 신의 주plaudong 주와이나 디 람도 공발에 때네 아주 요모바 다선 사번나 제바도 방토고래 까르고래 지난 데니게 빠서번데 제가 방에도 아주 탈바세 도고라 제가 데니 인사 만족이 냠는 제라데 당보 진보 출연 수비기 냠는듯이 안디 제라 데니게 제라다 수림 야보송 요토네 다 삼대 띵에진 삼다야 되겠다 신의 주야 주야 전에 마주면에 안 두시네 심 제지도 내제 안델이야 잠바데 시신 된제 안 제주 내가 신의 주야게 되네기 공미야 양내 양도 공미야디 배수 심보제야디 땅은 중에 냠는 제야디 디레다 림바디 마도요 말에 되네죠네
그러니까 샤랍기 콜라데 양캬송하던
진짜 다음에 봐 다음에 봐대 신의 줍디는 다음에 봐 다음에를 제바제 다음에 봐또 로기에 겨우로와 되니 다음에 봐도 로기에네 내 다음에다 미비게 신의 줍시 신의 띵안에 라동도 요도 안델라테네 딘 콤발레테네 녀모바 자와네 방외기 님보디다 돈이래 미비 실라송데 되시거래
So in the meditation, when one has generated bodhicitta, and one has taken it as one's sincere wish, one's sincere responsibility rather, to be of greatest benefit to others, when that wish arises within one in a sincere manner, it has a profound impact on our way of thinking. That thought on its own will weaken our coarse afflictions. And as we continue in this meditation, or continue to do this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period, even only getting this far has a great impact on the strength of our afflictions. But when we have generated bodhicitta within ourselves, ideally in the same meditation we should continue. So we reflect on suffering, when we use that then to generate bodhicitta, and then there's a third major outline that we should come to. And that's with whatever strength of bodhicitta we have generated. That mind of bodhicitta will naturally be inclined towards not harming others, but benefiting others. So whatever strength of bodhicitta that we've been able to generate within ourselves, we utilize that natural wish then that doesn't want to harm others to cultivate the mind of ethical conduct. A mind where we commit to not harming beings. Because at this point we've generated a similitude of bodhicitta. We value others. We have given rise to the wish for others to be happy, to be freed of pain and suffering. So therefore, with that basis, we can much more easily generate ethical conduct, because we will not want to bring suffering into the lives of others, because we're wanting to be of benefit to others. When you reflect here, for example, our way of acting, to ensure that in the encounters I have with others later today, I will ensure I don't harm others. I don't bring any physical harm to others. And secondly, my way of speaking to others. I'll ensure I don't add to the burden of suffering of others. And to bring about this change in physical behavior, and certainly in our way of communicating, it means I need to develop this mind of ethics, which is a mind of restraint. So our mind becomes restrained and not going in the direction of the afflictions, and thereby we don't bring harm to others. So this is how we develop the mind of ethics. The more we've cultivated, the more familiarity we have with this mind will ensure then that whatever circumstances we encounter, we will not harm others. In that, for example, we won't speak harshly to others or about others. And this comes through repeated training. And likewise, when we have generated bodhicitta and we're now going into this part of the meditation, we've generated the mind of love, wanting others to be happy, we've taken this as our responsibility, then the next meditation, that on generosity, the wish to give, the wish to be of benefit, comes about independence much more easily. Because we're wanting others to be happy. We're wanting others to accumulate the causes of happiness. So we then generate the wish, where I can help others, may I do so. In whatever way I can help others, whatever skills and talents and abilities and resources that I have, may I use these to bring benefit to others. And here the wish of the mind of generosity grows ever stronger within us, and the opposing afflicted mind of miserliness grows ever weaker. Then the meditation goes to the third point here, and that of patience. So in dependence on the mind of ethics and the mind of patience, which both have arisen in dependence on the minds of love, compassion, and bodhicitta, now patience arises within us very easily. Because patience is a mind that stays restrained in the face of adversity. So if we've given rise to a mind of ethics and generosity and prior minds of love and compassion, when we're faced with adverse circumstances, our mind will stay undisturbed. And this undisturbed mind is a patient mind. A mind that is undisturbed no matter how others are acting towards us, or secondly, whatever inner turmoil we may have. The mind of patience ensures our mind stays undisturbed. And this comes about in dependence of the prior generation of ethics and generosity and love and compassion. And therefore, through gaining ever stronger familiarity with patience, through doing this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period, anger, annoyance, frustration, these start to become strangers to us. They arise less frequently and with less strength within us. And as we're seeing our spiritual development and our change in our way of thinking, our inner transformation, the fourth mind, that of joyous perseverance, again arises with ever greater ease. And joyous perseverance is the mind that delights in virtue. We want to engage in virtue because we are experiencing the benefits of these meditations. And joyous perseverance serves to overcome laziness. And laziness has many expressions: attachment to worldly affairs, worldly activities, a reluctance to engage in the cultivation of Dharma knowledge, of receiving teachings, a reluctance to engage in sustained meditation. So through our ever-strengthening mind of joyous perseverance, those minds of laziness weaken. And as we've engaged in this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period, then one should add then one can also then meditate on wisdom. They cultivate the wisdom realizing selflessness. And as one has engaged then in this entire expanse of meditation over a sustained period, one will have accumulated vast stores of merit. Secondly, the strength and frequency of our afflictions will have weakened. With these two coming together, a vast store of merit and weakening afflictions, then we are getting ready to actually engage in the cultivation of calm abiding, of single-pointed concentration. And then we can emphasize this practice. And when we've achieved calm abiding, the single-pointed, undistracted mind of concentration, we then can, in particular, utilize it with the mind of wisdom, eventually then being able to give rise to a meditative insight or special insight, and give rise eventually to the union of calm abiding and meditative insight on wisdom, on the topic of emptiness rather. And in this way, liberation and enlightenment rapidly approaches. Then the first line in the 23rd verse, freedom from these two clingings is the experience of expanse. So in the preceding verses, we've covered the first two of the four clingings, the clinging to this mere life, as well as the clinging to samsara in its entirety. So the freedom from these two clingings refers to the freedom of the first two of the four clingings. So next time we will start from this line, and we will look at the next clinging, which is that of the self-cherishing mind, clinging to our own interest, as well as we'll look at the wisdom realizing emptiness, which is the antidote to the fourth clinging, the clinging to true existence. So we'll start there next time. Now we finished for this weekend, so thank you very much, and we can go straight to dedication.